Welcome back to Straight Facts. Breaking news. Manchester United formally announcing the signing of Ruben Amorim as the new manager, the new head coach, I should say, of Manchester United. 24 hours since the rightful sacking of Erik ten Hag. The club has moved quickly, the club has moved swiftly, and the club has got this deal done, dusted, over the line, and are bringing into the club one of the very top, one of the most talented young managers in world football. As a Man United fan, I am buzzing. As a Man United fan, I'm excited about what this is going to look like in the coming days, the coming weeks, and the coming months. We're going to discuss it with you, the viewers. I've got my wonderful panel, Dan Potts and LB, on the show with me today. We are touching on Arsenal. We're touching on Rodri making the world of football cry. We're touching on some actual other things other than Man United. But of course, the breaking news, Ruben Amorim, the official new head coach at Manchester United. Boys, what we saying?
Massive news, man. Massive news. I don't know what LB thinks, but I think this is a really good appointment, man. Really good appointment. I think he's a top talent. Obviously, he's gone and got honours over in Portugal. Just looking at it here, he's won with Braga. He's won with Sporting twice for the League Cup. He's Portuguese Super Cup winner and also Portuguese champion twice with Sporting Lisbon. I know a lot of people laugh at the Portuguese league, and that's fine. I don't watch it, if I'm honest with you, but there has been fantastic footballing men that's come from Portugal and that's come from that league. So whether you're a manager, or whether you're a winner, whether you're a leader, or whether you're a football player, we've seen Cristiano Ronaldo, we've seen Jose Mourinho, they're two of the best, right? So I think you've got to look at the good that's come out of Portugal as well. Look, I think this is a perfect sort of manager that you need. I really do. I think this is someone who's got a CV that says I win. It's someone who can actually take a project forward. It's young, so he's current, he's modern, his tactics are good. I think when you look at what he has done over there, I think it's always worth kind of saying that whatever you do next will be a risk, because of course, you know, a manager of 39 years old is always going to be risky, right? But it's the right sort of appointment, man. You're not looking at this thinking, oh, this isn't an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer one. This isn't an Antonio Conte or Jose Mourinho type. This is the up and coming, or one of the up and coming best that people are talking about. I know Man City fans were talking about potentially having him as their replacement for Pep Guardiola as one of the options. So this is going to be a top appointment, Tel, I've got to say. However, he needs to be backed now. There needs to be an understanding of what's happening in this structure of football, because I didn't quite understand what was going on. I still think where Man United should have got rid of him pre-season, they could have got Ruben Amorim at the start of the season and not wasted the first 3 months of the season, because that is essentially what you've got here now. But I think this will be a good appointment. We'll see what it does, Tel. And if you can then start to back him in January with a couple of players, and then look to complement what you've done in the summer with him and try and hit the ground running, looks like he's going to be on his way. And Chelsea fans are gutted, man, because they were like, come on, just give us the Ten Hag for one more game. But he's now gone. Man United fans are happy, and I can tell why. I think it's a great appointment, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, we were linked with him, and I didn't want him at City. So, and he was up there on the list, of quite high up on the list. So I'm kind of happy in one way that he's gone United, because I didn't want him at my club.
Why? Why did you want him?
Nah.
But you want company? Come on, bro.
No. Company's different, bro. You know what I mean? Company's
Does he play for your club?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's like sentimental.
Yeah, it's a sentimental pick, man. That's just a little come on City later on. Yeah. But listen, I think it's a good appointment for United. It took 2.5 years too long for me. He should have been sacked ages ago, but he's finally been sacked now. They've got Amorim. We'll see how he gets on, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't want him at City, so I'm going to sit here and be like, yeah, it's mega. I'm not going to do what Pottsy just done. I think it's better than Ten Hag. I think it's one of the better options that you could have got. It's probably exciting for United fans because of the way he plays football and that. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think Pottsy just alluded to it. There's still a lot of stuff to sort out at United, regardless of the manager. You know what I mean? A lot of players. That's the next thing Ineos have to do now, yeah? They have to get rid of all these crap players at the football club who are crap, yeah? Because you've got a lot of players there that are not good enough for the team, and they need to go. So it's step one, tick. It took a long time, but there's still a lot more to play for. And I'm not going to get on that bandwagon and be like, yeah, it's amazing. This is great. It's brilliant. Like, I'm going to chill. I'm going to wait and see what happens, man.
Look, I understand that. My only kind of pushback against that is most of us Man United fans know that there's still a long road ahead. Any Man United fan that thinks we've got Amorim, top coach, we're ready to go. I need you to understand what you mean by ready to go. These will be the same guys in 6 months when we're not as good as City that will say, I think the manager's crap. I think the manager's got to go. It's going to take time still because the squad needs changing. However, I do believe there will be a dramatic improvement in how we play football. It's different to when we hired Ten Hag. It's different to when we hired Jose and Oli. We were still having these managers backed and picked by accountants, bankers, and marketers. That is very, very different now indeed. When you said earlier on, Pottsy, United have got to now back him, my view of backing someone isn't just giving them what they want. I love my children, but I don't just give them what they want because they want sweets all the time. They want McDonald's all the time. They want toys all the time. And that for me isn't plausible. Sometimes you need to be firm. One of the biggest standout points as to why I knew, why I believed, why I kind of panicked almost when I heard Ten Hag about 18 months ago say, I can't play the Ajax way here. I'm not trying to play the Ajax way here. That isn't essentially what me and the owners have discussed. That straight away was a red flag to go, we're in trouble. We know how Ruben Amorim plays. That must match the way we're trying to play football as a football club. You've heard Slot say it in his interview before the Arsenal game at the weekend. I've not changed the style of football at Liverpool. It's the same style of football, just with a different voice and a few subtle adaptations. That's what happens when you change managers. It shouldn't be, obviously, we want to dramatically improve in terms of performances, but it shouldn't be a whole new world now. We shouldn't be looking at, okay, this January now, we're looking at a different profile of player to what we were looking for in the summer. That, for me, is backing the manager, ensuring and pushing him to play the style of football that has clearly attracted him to us. That, for me, is important. And yes, LB is right. Lots of these players, you know, the Anthonys, the Maguires and co have got to go. I even think, look at some of the players that might have an improvement now. If suddenly Bruno and Rashford look world class again, you might even look at that as a red flag to go, right, so that they turn it on as and when they want. Is that really what you want at Man United? I think all of these things are about backing the manager. But for me, it's more about backing us, the fans, backing the football club. I'm excited. I think he's a very, very talented young manager. I think there's a lot to look at here. I think there's a lot to focus on as Man United fans and be kind of proud of and happy with, and not proud of, sorry, excited about, happy with, and hopefully someone that we can become proud of. But I do say to United fans as well, as happy as I am with the head coach, keep your feet firmly on the ground because there are many peaks and many troughs on the horizon as well. But this man has won in 5 years as a first team manager. He has won 2 league titles. He's won 4 domestic trophies. He's the current champion of Portugal, top of their league, 9 wins from 9. And he plays a very, very nice style of football. The question mark is, and everyone's going to have an opinion on this, nobody knows whether they're right or wrong as of right now, can he do that in the Premier League? Can he bring it to life over here? That's the big question. Only time is going to tell. But for me, my excitement is more around, is about Amorim. I like him, but it's more about, for the first time ever in my lifetime, because I don't remember, Fergie was appointed before I was born. The first time in my life that Man United have appointed a manager that has been picked by seasoned, respected football people. So anyone who says, I don't see how anything's changed at Man United, I don't see how this is going to be any different to previous appointments and managers, because nothing's changed, you're fundamentally, wholeheartedly wrong, and there is no debate. And I got called out earlier because I praised the speed of this. 24 hours, new manager. People go, but the Glazers got it done quickly. This is bullshit. I've got some facts to lay down here to all the doubters and the haters. Moyes was sacked on the 22nd of April, 2014. LVG was not appointed until the 19th of May. Okay, so a month it took to appoint him. LVG was sacked on May 23rd. In fairness, pretty quickly we appointed Jose on the 27th of May 2016. However, it was death by 1,000 cuts, and we all knew in December what was going to happen. So terrible management of the football club there. Jose was sacked on the 18th of December. A couple of days later, Ollie came in, and we were told he will only be the interim. 3 months later, we decided to give him the permanent role. No plan of action. We absolutely didn't do our due diligence. That failed. Okay, 3-month period there. We sacked Ollie on the 21st of November. We didn't appoint an interim until the 2nd of December in Ralph Ragnick, and we didn't decide on the next manager until the 22nd of April. So it took us 6 months to decide between permanent managers. So for me as a United fan, to see the swiftness of this, the clean nature of it, for all of our ducks to be in a row, boom, 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 I'm very, very happy indeed, because that is just something that Man United fundamentally haven't done in my lifetime. We didn't need to with Fergie, to be fair, because he did 25 years, greatest manager of all time. But since then, it has been horrendous. So for anyone in the comments that says, I don't see how it's different, I'm going to be real blunt. I ain't responding. You've just been shown how it is. Unless you can debunk my facts with better facts, I don't give a fuck about opinions on this.
What's the actual difference then, sorry, between Ten Hag then? I'm just putting this out there. What's the difference between the appointment of Ten Hag, who'd won trophies in the Eredivisie, compared to Ruben Amorim, who's won trophies in Portugal?
Okay, so are we talking about him being a success?
Just why should United fans get excited about this when they got excited about Ten Hag, and that obviously
that's a good question. To be fair,
it's a good question. But I addressed this the day that we signed Erik Ten Hag, and I stated that if we don't change the way we operate as a club, i.e., the bankers, the marketers, the Woodwards and co, they don't leave very quick soon, they will infest this new manager with problems. Some of it directly. Some of it will be indirectly. I've already explained. We hired a manager who played the Ajax way. We let him come in and buy Ajax players for that style, but then did not fucking insist that he plays that style of football.
Fair enough.
So for me, and that's just me speaking with passion, I ain't swearing at you, bro. My view is this. I knew it would fail with Ten Hag if we didn't make those fundamental changes. Now, I'm not saying 100% it's a guarantee that we become a massive success now, but I think there is a far greater likelihood. And I've said it all along. Every manager we sacked, I said I didn't really care if we didn't change the way we operate as a club. Each time we sacked a manager, the club operations stayed the same. They failed. It's the first time we've done it with a brand new group of people in charge. And I do understand that some people think we should have got here sooner. I agree to a large extent. But LB, you were the one that put this in my head. Maybe this was about... Maybe half the dressing room still supported Ten Hag, and they genuinely wanted to give him an opportunity to turn it round, to keep the players on side. Now a new manager, I think, is coming in, and I don't think anybody is looking at Amorim thinking, oh, you're working behind my manager's back. He deserves to still be here. It is a fresh and a clean slate. And this season for Man United, I'm going to be honest with you, it's still very, 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 in my opinion, very, very, very salvageable between now and the end of the campaign for us to achieve something this year. I really do believe that.
Yeah, so for me then, I would say yeah. So what has to change then at Man United is the recruitment strategy. Yeah, you can't just say to Ruben Amorim, right then, lad, who do you want? Agreed. Yeah, you sort of alluded to that earlier on, because that's what you did with Ten Hag, and let's be honest, it's been an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster, right? Ten Hag would have been better off being told that he can't sign anyone and that they're going to buy the players, because to be honest with you, most of the players that they've signed have been flops, right? So yeah, that's step one. Step one is bring him in. He's in a difficult situation now because he's still got these players who I genuinely believe are rubbish. Most of them are rubbish. Yeah, I think there's a couple of players there that are decent. I think most of these players at United are trash, and that's not me trying to shit on United or cuss them out. I genuinely believe that their players are trash. Right. So there's a big job for Ineos to do in January and the summer, and it's probably going to take a year or two to get rid of all these players and bring new players in. But then when you are bringing new players in, it's got to be the football guys upstairs, you know, because if Ruben Amorim turns out to be a failure, you don't want to be left with all his players again, which is what you've been left with now with Ten Hag. You've been left with the likes of Anthony, Højlund, who's still dodgy, Mason Mount, yeah, Casemiro was on big wages. All these players that really, I don't think are particularly very good, you've been left with all on big money, and you're probably going to struggle to get rid of. So, yeah, Ruben Amorim's now got to work within the framework of Manchester United. Man United now have to decide the style of play that they want, and Ruben Amorim's got to fit into that. So the whole club now has to just change and flip completely from allowing the manager to have the control, which is what's happened ever since Fergie's been there, and fair enough, that was Fergie, but they've got to come into the modern era. Yeah, it's time for Man United to step out of the dark ages and step into the modern times of saying, listen, it's the board, it's the football directors, it's the scouts that pick the players. Obviously, the manager can have a say if they're not sure and whatever. The manager can have input. That's absolutely fine. But it is now time for Man United to step in there. I've seen it pure times in interviews with Pat Guardiola about players we've signed. He didn't even know Doku was. You know what I mean? He was speaking about Doku and about how Tiki signed Doku and that. Like that is just the way modern football is now.
Everything you've said though has already started. So when it comes to the signings this summer, the way Man United are doing it is very well documented in a couple of articles in The Athletic and a number of other outlets. That you could tell have been given this information by Man United. The way we're now operating is this. The manager, this is the same at most of the clubs you're talking about. The manager will say, I think we really need a new centre-back or we really need a new winger. The club will then bring a list of players that the football decision makers believe meet the threshold of the club. So it might be, we need a new centre-back, and they say, I'm just making these names up here. They say, right, Saliba's on the list. Van Dijk's on the list and Gabriel's on the list. The manager then gets to pick which one of those he wants. And I quite like that methodology because it gives the manager, head coach, an element of control, but he's only getting to pick from players that have met the threshold of your scouts, of your key decision makers like your Dan Ashworth. This is what started in the summer. So that's the way we were operating from the beginning of life under Ineos. So for me, everything you've said is right. That's exactly what we've got to do. No football club in 2024 should be building its model in the identity of a singular manager. It's why I keep saying to Arsenal fans, I understand you want Arteta to be successful. But I think if you do sack him now or at the end of the season, you point an Alonso or an Inzaghi as an example. If they're better than him, which many think that he is, let's just speak objectively about this right now. I think you guys will continue challenging. Slot has come into Liverpool. It's like if you didn't know Slot was on the touchline, it's not like they've changed managers. Some teams, like Flick going into Barca, you've seen them get better because Flick is just a better head coach, as an example. So there's nothing you said that I disagree with at all, LB. That is the way Man United need to operate. But because all those things you've said are already in place, that's why I've got an air of confidence. Now, equally, I know this squad ain't ready to challenge for the league. I know a lot of players have got to go. But where I push back a little bit is we are still better than 14th. We got outplayed by Coventry in an FA Cup semi-final. We got through by a toenail that stopped them from being offside. I believe we have better players than Coventry. We get outplayed regularly by teams in relegation battles last year, this season. I believe we have superior players and squads to those. So I still expect Amorim to get us playing football this season in a way where maybe barring going away to Arsenal, Liverpool, and City, I want to feel this within a few weeks that we have got a genuinely good chance of winning and dominating these matches. I think the squad's still good enough to do that. Also, I want him to try and win trophies this year. We know this squad can win trophies. Ten Hag won too. Everything is salvageable. We're in the League Cup. We're obviously in the FA Cup. And look, we've had an awful start in Europe, but we're still in the playoff bits. We could still qualify. We can still win that tournament. So for me, it's a case of, yes, it's going to take time to get us to Man City's level, Champions League winning level. But in the short term, I think we can win trophies while improving, and we have the squad to do that, and we can keep bettering it at the same time. So the standards shouldn't be so low as, well, let's go 4 or 5 years without winning anything. It's okay if the football looks pretty. I think there has to be a happy medium here. Good football, progression on the field of play, improving the league position, improving the win percentage. But I think we've got to aim to still pick up those trophies as well. We're Man United. We're the biggest club in England. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. And I think personally, those standards are in place by our new owners. And I would say, boys, that's why I'm excited. There is a little fear that it doesn't work. There is, because you get new owners and you hope that this is now the beginning of a new era.
Can I ask you a genuine question? Are you not at the point where you're just like, well, you're 14th. It can't get any worse. Like, be serious. Like, it can't get any worse. Surely this is the bottom. Like, it's the only way is up. No, you can't get any lower than 14th. But you won 3 games in the league. Like,
no, we might not be able to drop any lower in the league. When I say fear, because I've look, I have to be very balanced about this. I think Ineos are doing a lot of the right things. That could be because, though, what they're doing is exactly what I've been screaming at this camera for 10 years to do. football decision makers. Don't build it around a manager, etc., etc., etc. We're doing so many of those things. So I'm sitting here, and there's part of me that's really excited. But this is just my nature. Whenever I get good news, it could be a sponsor wants to sponsor the Terrace. I love that company. I love that product. I'm really excited. I try not to get too excited because I feel like fate will take it away from me for being too excited. So I'm someone that, do you get where I'm coming from? I always like to sort of tread carefully. That's just me as a person. But in terms of could it get the only thing that could go worse is we get relegated. But I just don't quite see that happening. But outside of that, the only way from here really is up, if we're being honest.
Manchester United, in my opinion, with Amorim, I think now should be going for trophies like they always do. To be fair, Europa League, both domestic cups. I think these last 2 seasons, you've obviously won those, but in the league, you just haven't been good enough. Your league form just simply has to improve. And I think it will naturally now that you've got a new manager, because I genuinely do believe, as much as I agree with LB that your players are not outstanding, I disagree that it was just them that aren't good enough. I think Matt Ten Hag is just abysmal, isn't he? Let's be real, right? So I think that you can go now to a respectable position. But what is a respectable position for Amorim to be expected to do? In my opinion, I think that if you finish the season, he's got pretty much 30 games now to prove that he's the right guy in the league. I think now, if you finish below City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa and Chelsea, I don't think you can be too annoyed at that. If you start finishing lower than that, below Spurs, below, let's just say, a Newcastle, chucking like a Brighton or a West Ham or someone random like that, I think then you're starting to think, what's happening here? Because really, when you look at the league table, you ain't that far off of the Champions League spots at the moment because it's so bloody early, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there needs to be a realistic expectation, but there does need to be an expectation at Manchester United. One, because you're one of the biggest clubs in the world. You don't just go now, well, do you know what? It's 14th. Just get us anywhere and just try and get us playing a style of play. I think there needs to be more than just that expectation, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I don't expect us to catch the top 3. Villa are probably, again, Villa have got a 7-point gap over us, and they are really good. They've lost 1 game all season. Chelsea are looking really good. They might be hard to overtake. But look, we beat Chelsea this weekend, which, by the way, if the reports are true that he's going to manage us this Sunday, we will beat Chelsea at Old Trafford this Sunday. There is no doubt in my mind. Call it new manager bounce. Call it the noise. I mean, 75,000 people.
Clip that, LB. Should we get that clip?
Clip it. KJ, clip it up. If Ruben Amorim is managing us this Sunday against Chelsea, we will win that game. I'm not saying he'll have his style implemented. I'm not saying that Chelsea are bad. I'm just talking about the feeling that will be in that stadium, the excitement, the noise, the adrenaline. The players will undoubtedly. There's a reason that Chelsea fans yesterday.
Don's clipped it already. Don's in here clipping it.
Don, clip it, Don. But then there's a reason why literally yesterday, every Chelsea fan in that group chat, most of the Chelsea fans at Superchatted were all going, fuck's sake, why has it got to be this week before you play us? If Chelsea fans are saying that, it is not Don, ironically, it is not delusional that I think we'll beat you this weekend when your own fans, Don, are panicking. The point I'm really making is this, though. If we beat Chelsea this weekend, we're 3 points behind them and they're in 5th. So therefore, to your point on expectations, I expect us to finish above West Ham, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford, Spurs, Forest, Brighton. I expect us to finish in front of all those 8 clubs that are ahead of us right now. Chelsea and beyond that, it's harder because they're very good teams. But if we're only 3 points behind Chelsea after game week 10, with the start we've had, for me personally, we could finish ahead of them. I'm not saying we will.
Do you think your squad's as good as Chelsea's? Do you think your squad's as good as Chelsea's?
I don't think their midfield's better than ours. But I think people are undercooking Man United squad because of how bad Ten Hag has had us looking. You got to remember, we bashed them up. We've bashed them up a lot of times in the last couple of years with this manager because they had poor coaches, right? So to their point, yes, they signed some good players in the summer, but their whole sort of thing was, yeah, but we had good players, but we were getting beat because we had a bad manager. You guys have all been celebrating how bad my manager is for 2 years, and we still beat those same players, also with a bad manager. So the idea that it's inconceivably true that we couldn't finish ahead of them or we don't have a squad that's at least equal to them, I think's wrong. I don't think that if they're better than us,
I think their midfield and their attack's better than yours too. I've got to be honest.
If it's better than ours, I'm telling you now, it's marginal. They are not light years ahead of us, and that's just because league position in the last few years, the fact we've beaten them many times in the last few years, and the fact that we're literally a handful of points away from them right now. So that doesn't tell me they're a side that are, Man City, they're 12 points ahead of us in that same time. They are that much better than us. But yeah, look, Chelsea will be a hard team to catch from this point. Do I think it's absolutely impossible? No. But Chelsea are in fifth. I'm not talking about winning the league. I'm talking about maybe coming fifth. That's possible this year. But top six, I think, should be a genuine target from this point for us. We're 5 points behind it. And I think we have a better squad. And listen, do we actually have a better manager than all the teams that are above us? On paper, yes. Does he translate that to the Premier League? Only time will tell, but we've got to have those expectations on him to do that. So, yeah, I'm feeling confident ahead of this weekend. Chelsea, beware. We're going to beat you on Sunday if Almarin's our manager.
I think that's a big one, really, because Chelsea, people are starting to take them a bit more seriously now. And, they're sitting in fifth, point off of Villa. If they can go United at Old Trafford with a new manager bounce and get a win, especially if they can get a convincing win, that's huge for them. And obviously that would be shocking for United at the same time. So now it's a big game this weekend, man. Listen, I think United now, I think Amorim's coming in there. There's a lot of pressure on, like you kind of mentioned it earlier. You can't just walk in and just be like, chilling and that. Like, this guy's got to walk in. Like, we're only 9 games into the season. And he's only 7 points off of the top 4. Like, I don't think you'll get top 4 because I don't think the team's good enough. But like, it is doable. It's not like a mad crazy thing to say. So he's got to go in there now, Amorim. Yeah, he's got to get a style of football implemented straight away. I think that would be the best thing for him. If I was like his advisor, yeah, and I knew about what was going on at United, the first thing I'd be saying is, right, these United fans haven't seen a style of play at Old Trafford for 3 years. Probably going on longer than that, but under Ten Hag, nothing for 3 years. Get a style of play. Get up on knocking the ball. Knock it around with pace. Play out from the back. Take risks. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah? And then go from there. And the results will come because you're all right. As much as the team's crap, yeah, you're not 14th. I think you might be anywhere between 9th and sort of 6th, 5th, maybe.
I thought you were going to go 9th to 14th.
I'm not that shameless, bro. I'm not that shameless.
Don here says marginally these men ain't even scored 10 goals. The problem here, Don, is you're now hypocrisizing your own logic from last season. You backed your squad, you backed your team because you put it down to you having a terrible manager. What I've not seen from you, Don, on any stream about Man United in the last year is you defending Ten Hag because these players were good enough but were therefore letting him down. You were ripping into Ten Hag at every single opportunity about how bad a coach he is, how bad a manager he is, how awful he is. And I've heard you say on many streams, Terry, I get it. We had it with Potts, we had it with Potts, we had it with Potts, we had it with Potts. So how is it a stretch to suggest that a team, by the way, that's this squad that's finished ahead of you 2 seasons ago and came third, by the way, in the league, has won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons, more than you, by the way, and is only a handful of points behind you now after our worst start ever in Premier League football history. If you put your logic into this from last year, which you and I have agreed on simultaneously for over 14, 15 months, that your manager last year and my manager last season and the start of this year have held us back massively, why is it such a delusional call? Because that is what you're suggesting with the laughter. Because we've only scored 10 goals, that we are not, you could be marginally better than us, but do I think you are light years ahead of us? Do I think there is no comparison? Do I think there is clear blue water between our squads and our teams? No, I don't, because clear blue water, in my opinion, is what I would consider to be the difference between Man United and City. What I'd consider to be the difference between Arsenal and Man United, a team that will probably again this year finish 20 plus points ahead of us. If Chelsea finish ahead of us this year, what's it going to be? 5 points, 6 points? That doesn't strike me as a team that is hugely better. You could be better, but I think it's marginal at this particular moment.
I disagree, Terry. I think that Chelsea team is a lot better than yours.
How much better?
And I think if you're right and Chelsea only finished 5 points above you this year, then either Amorim has massively overperformed with the team that United have got, or Maresca has massively underperformed. I look at that Chelsea team, right? They've got players like Neto in there. Yeah, they've got Cole Palmer in there. They've got players like Caicedo, Lavia. Yeah, now the defense is a little bit iffy, but if we can keep Reece James fit, keep Malo Gusto fit, Cucurella's smashing at the moment. Goalkeeper's got an issue, but Don keeps on talking to me about this Jorgensen guy who's meant to be coming in. They've got a few issues, but Jackson, I'd take him over all your strikers. I think their squad actually is a lot better than yours.
Can I ask you a question on that then? So what I've just heard you say is, if we finish on par with them or ahead of them, that's us overperforming, and then
or they're underperforming.
Yeah, but what has to happen for you to go, I'm wrong, and Man United squad's in and around the same quality? So what would have to be the results for you to say, actually, I was wrong, and United are pretty close to Chelsea squad?
Well, I would have to see the individual player performances increase. I think the individual players in the United team are nowhere near the level of those of Chelsea. There are a couple of exceptions. I think it would come down to individual performances. How many players would I take out of United squad compared to how many players would I take out of the Chelsea team?
I have to agree. I have to agree with LB. I do, and I do feel like, look, I understand that there is definitely some Manchester United players that would walk into Chelsea, but I actually think there's more Chelsea that I'd take. I'm just doing it in my head. We'd have to do it properly, but
I get that.
I'm looking at it thinking, actually, I do individually rate them more. What you could do, though, however, is Amorim gets them playing, and then you can do what LB does and goes, wow, he's really got them cooking. Let's now reassess and look at how indivially they have improved in terms of Marcus Rashford, who we know can do it.
But that's what I'm asking, because
we might get out of.
So for me, I listen, everyone's entitled to their opinions. It doesn't affect me in any way. I'm a grown man. It is what it is. I just like to ascertain and understand what changes your mind about that. I don't think it's particularly fair just to say, well, if you finish ahead of Chelsea, it's purely because you're overachieving and they're underachieving. I think it's more of a telltale. I don't think you can. I think with the league.
That's not a bad thing, though, Terry. Don't take what I said as a bad thing in terms of the overperforming. That means you've got a great manager.
No, I understand where you're coming from with that. I just think that, I suppose I get it with cup competitions, and I think in a cup competition you can have a good squad and just get a lucky draw, grind your way through games, and suddenly you're in a final, and then it's anybody's. I think with the league, I feel that if we're already behind them, if between now and the end of the season we finish on level with Chelsea or just above them, I don't think you can overperform for 28 games. But theoretically, you can, again, and if Chelsea underperform, I think if you underperform or overperform for that amount of time, I think that's just more showing what your managers and your squad's level actually is. Because I personally don't believe that league positions are false. I think they're, you look at those years where Liverpool kind of had off years under Klopp. Oh, it was an injury, it was this. No, it wasn't. It was Klopp's mismanagement. When he had the centre-back issues, the reason why they fell off and then caught up right at the end is because he went through like a 3-month period where he kept on playing his centre-backs. Sorry, his midfielders as centre-backs. As soon as he just put his centre-backs back in their positions, their midfield back, I think they won their last 11 games. Like, that for me is a manager issue rather than a squad issue, but it still shows the overarching levels. But listen, it's going to be an interesting one now to see how this plays out. But Don, clip it up, my bro. If Amorim is the manager on Sunday, we are beating you with our inferior squad, with your amazing team. We are beating you at Old Trafford. Just let that sink in, brother. Let that sink in. We will beat you. We will. Oh, the handbrake is coming off. Honestly, the handbrake's coming off. And by the way, we might dip after that. I'm just talking about new manager bounce here. That's all. I'm not even talking about systems and styles. New manager bounce, the noise of Old Trafford, 75,000 people. It's almost double what the Stamford Bridge boys are used to. It's over. It's over.
What should be a 0-0 stinkfest now?
No, I think there'll be goals in that game. I think there'll be goals. I think, Maresca should go there and try and win the game. He shouldn't go there and be cautious, which I don't think he would anyway. And Amorim has got I don't think Amorim can walk in there on his first game at Old Trafford and just be like, right, defend, boys. I think it's going to be a crazy match. It's going to be open game. I think. I'll tell
you what, there will be. The fans will be mad. Man United fans will be mad. They will, because it's like they're so elated at the moment. Like, even whether or not they're going to be amazing or not. But before that game kicks off, I do think it'll be a great atmosphere at Old Trafford. Surely it will be anyway. It hasn't been great for years, but I'm sure it will be. I think it'll be a cracking game. I'm looking forward to it. It's my birthday as well, so I can sit and chill hungover watching that game. Spurs Villa as well, I think, on the same day. So good game of football, good weekend of football, really. Just hope Arsenal have won by that point. But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see what Man United do. I actually am looking forward now to seeing what players he can get the best out of. Because you remember Ugarte was massive over there in Portugal. He came into PSG, didn't really happen for him. Be interested to see if he can get most out of him. Bruno Fernandes is a player I'm looking at. Rashford is a player I'm looking at. I'm not expecting him to make miracles here, by the way. But I'm interested to see what he does with those sort of players. Because they, for me, in the last couple of seasons have been a problem at Manchester United, and it'd be interesting to see what he does if they continue to be problems, and if he's going to be ruthless, because I think he has to be. I'm with LB. I think some of those players, they just aren't good enough, and yeah, it's going to take some time. If you give him the time, though, I'm quite impressed by what I've seen and heard from him. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, listen, there's loads of things to look at now, to focus on who comes in. I mean, one of the real exciting things for me, he hasn't kicked a ball for us yet. He won't be back this weekend, but we've got young Vini Jr to come into this defense, who's very highly touted. And I'm telling you now, one thing I'm really happy about, he never got tarnished by playing under this Ten Hag system, which is great. We've got Mainu that's going to come back into this side now, and I'm just all these little things. I feel if we can get these players in the right positions, playing well, getting the best out of, we know we've got talented players. We see Bruno go off to play for Portugal and look excellent every single time that he does it, as an example. So yeah, look, I'm excited indeed. Terry, we just want you to beat City home and away. Well, we'd all love that. We'd all love to beat City home and away. Unlikely, it's very hard. I don't know the last time Man United did that, to be fair, in a single season. Ajax wage bill is more than double the closest club. Sporting is the third largest in Portugal and half that of Benfica. Yeah, people don't appreciate the job that he's done. Not only are they far less wealthier than the Benficas and the Portos, he took over. They hadn't won a league title in 20 years. I think they'd won a few domestic trophies because Bruno won them there. But to go in there and win in 3 years, to win 2 league titles after 20 years with nothing, when they're the third richest team. They're richer than all the others, but like they're not at the same level as the other two. And they're top this season, 9 wins from 9. I mean, he's done a very, very good job indeed. And I just hope he brings that confidence into United. Amorim is a class appointment. Sporting fan here. High pressing, vertical football. Sporting legends now. 2 championships in 3 years after 20-year drought. Plays forward with wing backs.
Yeah, he plays free at the back, don't he, with wing backs? Yeah. That's what he plays. So it'd be interesting to see if he does bring that in, because I don't know what left wing back you've got at Man United, but they're all injured. So
Malacia, bro.
Well, Malacia is coming back, but again, that's where I would look at. Again, we've got a very young prospect in Harry Amas.
Good player.
Who I think defensively is a little naive, but if you're playing him as a wing back, you don't have to worry about that as much. He's a really good example. Masuari's actually been brilliant for us this year. He can play out on that right-hand side. I'd actually have him in the team over Delove at the minute, who's been awful. Again, when our centre-backs are back, I actually am quite excited about the idea of Martinez, De Ligt, and Vini Jr as our centre. Again, all 3 are very good on the ball. There's some good speed there. There's fight in that. I quite like it. You've got holding midfield players that can then pick that ball up and hold it. Yeah, I like it. I like the sound of it. I'm intrigued. And what they have said is that it looks unlikely though he's going to change. So let's see if this works. Only time will tell. Don't forget, Chelsea are riding a new manager bounce too. Would you guys say Chelsea are in the new manager bounce phase now? In October, November, basically, by the time we play?
No, that's not true, Marcy, for me. Not a new. We're end of October, man. No.
Off meta here says 4D chess from City, Alexis Sanchez all over again.
We'll see, man. We'll see what happens, isn't it?
A bit annoyed about this appointment. Was wanting him if Arteta didn't win anything this season. Great manager with a great philosophy about football. LB is correct. Most players, I think he means at United, are garbage. We shouldn't have had a go at the manager then, should we? If the players are garbage, 14th is right, isn't it? That's all I'm saying. Hugo V will know his tactics.
Hugo Viana.
Hugo Viana, he's on to Man City, isn't he?
Right. Yeah.
You got all your inside tactics. But then you could say the same about Omar Barada, LB.
Barada, yeah. He knows everything that's gone on at your club. Yeah. Terry, you said the appointment this time is going to be different because of structure. If this still doesn't improve United, then what? How long of a decline until you accept Ineos is the same as the Glazers? I will never accept that Ineos the same as the Glazers until for 17 years they put no money into the club, don't try and do anything with the stadium. You can't just put it down to on-the-field stuff. What the Glazers have done to Manchester United is nothing short of criminal. And we know it's criminal now because you can't buy and run a club the way the Glazers did it. It's now been made illegal in European football to do what they did. If it doesn't improve over the next 2 to 3 years and we stay where we are now in 14th, then we'll have that conversation. And I'll hold my hands up and say they're not good enough either. I mean, I'm not scared about being wrong here. Being wrong is not important to me. Being right in itself, no, I got it right. I don't care. I care about my club improving. And if I get it wrong, I'll hold my hands up and I'll call them out. It is what it is. But what I guarantee people like yourself is this, that always call me out, and I appreciate the super chat. If we start improving, none of you will come here and say, fucking hell, Terry was right, The fact that after every managerial sacking, I always get people go, oh, you've got to apologize to the Ten Hag outers, the Ollie outers, the Jose outers, the LV outers, because they were right about the manager. No, they're wrong, because they just thought sacking the manager would improve us. No one's ever come here and gone, fucking hell, Terry, you got it right every time. Oh, by the way, I'm not a genius. We're the only big club in England that had bankers and marketing experts running the fucking club. Of course it's going to foul. I'm telling you now, you go and take the CEO of Barclays, I don't even know who it is anymore, and let them run Man City for 5 years, I guarantee you they'll be fucked. Because he don't know what he's doing. He runs a bank. It literally is. That's the way it is. Go and take a person who runs the best, the most successful dog groomers in the country and get them to start being the head chef at a restaurant and see how fucking bad that food is in a week. Come on now. Like, we've got to understand this. I'm not having to go directly at you, bro. It's just these conversations for 18 years have been killing me. Ollie went on an 18-game unbeaten run within the first 3 months. Wasn't that new manager bounce? You could argue that, but I look at it this way with Moresca. The guy's had a pre-season. The guy's been there a long time. Ollie's was a little bit different because of when he took over, and there was a bounce and there was an improvement of things. However, there were some early signs before he got that new deal that when you look back and you remove the euphoria, we really shouldn't have given him that deal. But you could make that argument.
I think they've learned from that hotel, because they could have done that with
Yeah.
Ruud van Nistelrooy. They could have said, you know what, let's put Ruud in interim until the end of the season. We'll look at things in the summer. I think it's the right thing to do. Go and get Amorim now. Go aside and try and salvage your season now. Because otherwise, what happens if Ruud starts well like Ollie did and he has 15 games where you win? And then everyone's like, oh, what do we do with Ruud now? Like, nah, just go and get the guy in, man. That's what you've done. I think you've done the right thing, man.
My friend here says, I am asking a hypothetical question, mate. No need to be sensitive and assume what kind of person I am. Well, listen, if that offended you, no need for you to be so sensitive about that. I was just challenging back, but I am sensitive about it because I love this football club with every fiber of my being. I always loved it as a kid. As a young man, I was very fortunate enough with my time with Team GB to live in Manchester, and that city took me in. It's my second favorite place in the world outside of literally being at home with my kids. And if there was an opportunity to go move my family there and live there, I would. It's one of the greatest cities in the world. That city took me in. Wonderful people, wonderful culture. And I love the football club. I love every fiber of it. And what the Glazers have done to it is criminal. And it's something that, like, one of the reasons why I get annoyed at the media now, my friend, criticizing Ineos, rivals criticizing Ineos, it isn't the Ineos criticism. What triggers me is the fact that barely any of these questions were asked for 17 years. And this isn't me swearing at you. When these absolute fucking leeches of the Glazers were here, where were these questions? Every now and then when they saw our losses, some financial journalist would write a piece on it. But the media, the mainstream media, the sports pundit said fuck all for nearly 20 years. So when I see Ineos being challenged, it isn't that they're challenging Ineos that upsets me directly. It's where was your energy when these scumbags took us over with debt? Where was this energy when we were replacing Cristiano Ronaldo with fucking Obertan? Where was the energy? It was nowhere. It was the only time the energy really came from the media is when the Super League happened. Outside of that, they didn't give a shit. In fact, most of the pundits went, well, they spend money, don't they? Fucking incorrectly. With a banker running the club. That's why I get annoyed. It isn't that Ineos are being challenged directly. It's that none of these mugs, none of these absolute leeches challenge the Glazers at any point, and they're scum. Not the Glazers. There we go. Homeboy didn't want Chelsea, but wanted United. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been reading stories today. Some articles in the summer sort of suggested that Amorim rejected Liverpool, rejected Chelsea. Others have said it's the other way around. I'm not going to do the typical kind of, oh, he rejected you for us. Can't be arsed with it. There we go. Depends what journalist you believe, I suppose. Terry, I bet you Chelsea are not as good as they think. They will regress to the mean like Spurs last year. Just watch. The first humbling they get, they will get back.
Who does Marcy support?
I want to say Marcy is an Arsenal fan, I think.
Yeah, I'm just wondering because he's not accepting that Chelsea are any decent here, isn't it? You know, listen, I would say this, Marcy, yeah? Like, it is still early days with Chelsea, right? It's early days. However, I do see the way they're playing. They do have a bit of structure, and some of the players are starting to settle in now. So we'll see. Maybe you're right. They'll regress to mean like Spurs last year. I think if Chelsea finish anything less than 5th, I'd be surprised. But let's see, man. United got a great opportunity. If Amorim goes on Sunday and United beat Chelsea, I think you might have a bit of a case. But now I still think Chelsea are a decent side.
Apparently he's a United fan. Someone said he's a United fan.
Oh, is he United?
It might be United. Yeah, I can't quite remember. I will say this, brilliant community. I've got a lot of super chatters. You're all amazing. I don't remember who you all support. It'd be nice if all your emojis had your club in it. It would help me. It would help me. You don't need to change that. I'm just saying. Thank you. You until you get rid of the poison, nothing will change. And you know Rashford is the mole. It just don't get talked about. Let's see. Well, it certainly gets talked about because one, you're talking about it. Two, a lot of United fans think that he's the mole. But time will tell. Let's see. I mean, what I mean by that is some people think he is. Some people think it's other players. Some people think it's Anthony and Rasmus. Maybe it's all of them. But I think time will tell. What I will say is nothing leaked about any of this coming out. So maybe those holes have been cramped up. Chelsea and United combined 11. LB Cook Terry, please. Well, we'll do that later on in the week, my friend, because it's interest of time on the show.
I'll do that, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll do that. Well, listen, it is what it is. Again,
I think it's actually quite easy to command 11. I think
but they could have 11 players over us. But I'm still saying the difference between the squads is marginal. I still don't think there's certain players they have that are much better. But like for instance, our goalkeeper Onana, I would say he is light years ahead of Sanchez. So
yeah, he is.
It's like that. Listen, so there's a few players we have that I'd put into that kind of space. But yeah, like I wouldn't say, like, you could argue that Gusto is better than Mazwari, but he isn't light years ahead of him, like, in my personal opinion. There's only a couple of players they've got that I go, like, Palmer, Caicedo, when I'm doing like for likes in certain positions. Who else? Like, genuinely, do I believe you could make an argument?
Reece James.
I wouldn't, yeah, but Reece James, I wouldn't sign Reece. Yeah, but what I'm saying is Gusto isn't light years better than Maswari. You could argue he's better. I think he's just better. I wouldn't say he's like, oh my God, leaves you for dust. Lavia. Would I say Lavia is light years ahead of Mainu? No.
Does Sancho make it?
Imagine.
Well, Sancho just been dropped from their first 11, so I don't know. Let us know, people. Worth noting that Amorim plays attacking wingers at wingback, not fullbacks. Not sure if he will do that at United. Let's see. Like, listen, this is what I like about it. No one really quite knows, and that's the exciting bit. But I mean, well, I will say this, and he's pretty good defensively. You know, can you imagine? Can you imagine if he's a right wing back? Can you imagine if he unlocks Anthony and we get the Ajax Anthony and he turns into this player? I mean, that would be. I know it never. This is romance speaking. I would love something like that to happen, though. I'd love there to be a player that me and all the United fans want gone. He's trash, who just turns out to be a star under this man. I'd love something like that, but. That's me being romantic. LB believes in fairy tales.
I need to poke the bear a bit more here because I big up Martin, by the way. What's this fairy tale stuff, LB? What's going on?
No. I just didn't want Amorim at City. Ever since we were linked with Amorim, I was like, I don't want him at City. Don't want him.
And you wanted Vini. You wanted Vini.
No. Vinny's an option. Yeah. I actually think. I actually think Nagelsmann would be my number one choice.
Nagelsmann?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Why you say that?
Over
Why I
Alonso.
say that?
Over Alonso.
Yeah, I still got Nagelsmann over Alonso. Alonso plays some dead football, you know. You actually watch Leverkusen, mate. Some of his football's grim. He plays like Arteta, bro. He plays football like Arteta. He does these mad defensive talk.
Mate, they know they're best mates. That's why they're best mates. That's why they grew up together. I don't know, man. I think that anyway. We're not talking about next managers. I doubt, but I don't know. I would want Alonso over Nagelsmann personally. I think Nagelsmann plays nice football. You're right. I think when he went into the job that was big, I think it kind of went a bit flat for him, as I think it might for Vini Company. But you know, that's just me. Do a job with Burnley. If you're Pep's mate, you get the Bayern Munich job now. It seems it's very bizarre, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Speaking of fairy tales, Rodri yesterday becomes the Ballon d'Or winner, the first Premier League player to do it since Cristiano Ronaldo. But LB, the world of football seems to be in tears. I mean, you're seeing professional footballers last night posting pictures of Rodri celebrating a goal with Rodri on the floor. The whole of Real Madrid boycotted the event. Seems maybe a little bit extreme, in my opinion. How do you see it from a City perspective?
Well, from a City perspective, brilliant news. Our players won a Ballon d'Or. I think great stuff. Rodri is the best DM in the world. He's probably the best midfielder in the world. And, you know, from my point of view, I think he fully deserves it. I think for a football club, even though it's an individual award, I think it does massive things for the football club. If you listen to a lot of these younger players now, the likes of Musiala, the likes of Vert, they all want to win the Ballon d'Or. They all talk about winning the Ballon d'Or. So to win the Ballon d'Or, you know, it typically only goes to a few clubs. If you actually look at the list of clubs that a Ballon d'Or goes to, it's quite heavily, well, first of all, it's quite heavily Barcelona and Real Madrid, but there's only a select few clubs that have ever won it. So for me, the fact that our players won it is great for our football club because I think then you can go to some of these younger players and say, listen, if you've got ambitions of winning the Ballon d'Or, you can do that at Manchester City because Rodri's proved it, and you can win it over a good contender in Vini Jr. So yeah, buzzing for Rodri. I'm over the moon. It's massive for him.
For the clubs, sorry to interrupt. Sorry, for the list those clubs, Blackpool have one. Like Sir Stanley Matthews won it in 1956. By the way, he was like in his 40s when he won it, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Man United have 4 of them with Law, Charlton, Best, and Ronaldo. Liverpool have 1 with Michael Owen, and now City. So Premier League, established Premier League clubs, only been 3 clubs ever that have done it. There's only 4 clubs ever in the history of English football that have a player who has won a Ballon d'Or.
Exactly.
Some of those have been robbed, haven't they? I'm not just being petty.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
How Henry? I mean, he was clearly the best player in the world between 2002 and 2004. What was it? Was it Lewandowski didn't do it that year? How Haaland didn't get it, in my opinion, winning a treble. I just think there's players from teams that should have 100% got it, but they weren't Messi or Ronaldo at the time, so they got it. I mean, Nedved getting it over Henry. Look, no disrespect to Nedved, he's absolutely unbelievable player, but really, like at the time, I was just like, this is all a bit bizarre. So I always have felt like it's a bit like Ballon d'Or. I don't watch it. I couldn't give a toss. Like no offense against anybody who enjoys it.
No. You would watch it if your player was there, bro. If Saka was tipped to win it, you're telling me you won't watch it.
No, I'd probably just look at the
result. That's such a lie, man. That's such a lie, bro. You're Arsenal fans, man. If Saka was tipped to win the Ballon d'Or, yeah, you would be watching it, man. You'd be doing watch-alongs like I was doing. You'd be getting the popcorn out. You'd have parties going on. Yes, you would. Stop lying. The only reason you're saying that is because your club don't have anyone nearly winning it.
No, I've tipped my club should have won. Henry should have had it. I think you both know he should have.
Well, 2 decades ago.
Yeah, no, but not now.
Talk about the here and now. I'm saying if Saka was tipped to win it,
come on, let's be real.
If Saka was tipped to win it, you would be all over it.
Maybe.
No,
but listen, he's not. Is he? He's not. He's not going to get. He's not anytime soon anyway.
Well, I tell you what, yeah. If he plays like he did again the first half against Liverpool, he'll get close because that was fucking unbelievable. That's probably the best I've ever seen Saka. That for me.
Yeah. No, he was.
I'm gonna be real with you, man. Listen, I'm gonna be real with you. I thought that was crazy.
Don't say it too loud, man. People will start saying you like Arsenal again. What's going on? But look, I let me
45 minutes. He ghosted the second 45. There you go. To balance it out. He ghosted the second 45.
Yeah, crap in the second half, but good in the first. Look, Rodri is unreal. I honestly think he's probably one of the best that Man City have had now. I know we talk about like the Agueros and you talk about David Silva's, Kevin De Bruyne's. I think he's definitely in that bracket. But I actually think we might have to go one better, man. I think he might be, if you're looking at all-time greats in the Premier League in that position, I genuinely think he's up for debate now with the Vieiras, the Scholes, the Keanes, those guys. I genuinely think he's that good. And I think that he influences Manchester City so well. Now, look, at the moment, you're doing really well without him, right? So it's a bit weird me saying that you absolutely need him in your team to get forward because you actually are winning games without him in your side. But he is so pivotal to how you are playing and how you want to play and how Pep wants to play. I honestly think he's so good. And I thought Yaya Toure and Fernandinho were going to be very, very hard to replace. And I must admit, when you bought him, LB, I don't know what you thought of him as a fan base, but I was thinking, I don't quite get it. Not quite seeing what he does. And then it was like, was it 12 months, I reckon, of him not really sure. And then boom, I was like, right, okay, this player's unreal. And maybe I did a bit of a Gilberto Silva on him and thought not quite sure what he does until you don't see him. But my God, this guy is absolutely phenomenal. Like, he's so good, man. And I thought it was deserved, man. I thought it was deserved. If you look at what he's won in the game in the last couple of seasons, he's done the treble, he's won the Euros, he's been pivotal for both club and country. I think you got to respect it, man. And I put it out on Twitter last night in my tweet saying you got congratulations to him. He deserves it. And a lot of people coming to me telling me to F off and don't congratulate Man City players and stuff. And I'm like, hang on a minute. I don't really care that I'm congratulating a Man City player. He's an absolutely phenomenal player. He deserved it, man. A lot of people thought Vini Jr. Real Madrid, I thought, was a bit of a disgrace, if I'm honest. That's basically the equivalent of throwing Teddy in the corner, isn't it? Let's be real. It's quite embarrassing, if I'm honest. So, yeah, for me, well-deserved. Top player, and I can't lie, I'm quite glad that he's out for a long period of time because Man City are definitely not the same without him, that's for sure.
Yeah, this whole thing about Vini being robbed, I mean, do me a favour. I mean, honestly, it's absolutely ridiculous. Listen, if you want to say that Vini should have won it, no problem. I'm going to sit here and have a massive debate with you. I think Rodri should have won it. You think Vini should have won it. That's fine, right? But to say he was robbed, when you're saying something is robbed, that indicates that it's an absolute clanger. It's an absolute horrific show. So, for example, the penalty that went against Man United against West Ham, I thought was an absolute clanger. Yeah, you could say Man United were robbed there because I thought it was a horrific penalty. I can't believe it was given. Right? That's a robbery. Yeah, this is not a robbery. He look at his what he did in Copa America. Right, he scored 2 goals in 3 games in the group stage and then didn't play again. Right, his G&A. Football's not all about G&A, but his G&A is not exactly spectacular for a forward. I think he got 33, 34 goals in all competitions, combined with assists, that is, by the way. So it's not like he got like Messi numbers or Ronaldo numbers or even Haaland numbers when Haaland got over 50 goals and won a treble and still didn't win it. So to say he got robbed is just hilarious, man. You know what I mean? Honestly, I think Carvajal was probably more deserving of the Ballon d'Or than Vini Jr., if I'm being honest with you. He won the same things that Vinicius Jr. won for Real Madrid, yeah, and he won the Euros. And I think he's one of the most underrated right-backs of all time. Yeah, that guy pretty much single-handedly knocked us out of the Champions League 2-3 years ago when we crumbled in the last couple of minutes at the Bernabeu with his crossing. So to say it's a robbery is a madness. And you know what who I actually feel sorry for? Ancelotti. Because he won manager of the year and he wasn't allowed to turn up. Now, whether he decided that he wasn't going to turn up, maybe he just decided. But like that guy got won manager of the year, he didn't turn up. They won club of the year, they didn't turn up. And they're all acting. And by the way, as well, yeah, you know, it's quite funny how, I don't know maybe if he's done it yet, but Mbappe and Jude Bellingham have been silent so far. They've not said anything because they're not going to get involved because they want to win it themselves. So they're not going to sit there on social media and say, Vinny robbed, he should have won it. Because they probably feel that they should have won it themselves. So the whole thing is crazy. To not turn up, I think, is a madness, to be honest with you.
I agree with that. The reason that the Real Madrid have done this, though, is almost, but it's to intimidate the Ballon d'Or. They're never going to change their mind at the last minute. It was done, right? They'd have had everything's done, ready. But this is the way of trying to intimidate the Ballon d'Or into next time it's marginal. We almost want you to lean on the journalists to give it to our players. I will say this, I've said it for years, that I don't necessarily, I think it's some people love it, and I understand that. I've seen people in the past use the lack of nomination for Paul Scholes as a reason to say why Gerrard was clear of him. The irony is I see those same people moaning 2 or 3 years running now about how it's a mockery of an award service. It's a popularity contest and it doesn't reflect who the real best is. but yet they still use it as a tool to beat skulls over the head with. And I've never really been a fan of that. But on Vinicius Jr. individually, I agree with you 100%, LB. I concur that he came second and he was close to winning it. And I understand why some people believe he deserved to win it. I totally get it. But it's, again, I use the word, I've used it a lot today, marginal. Difference between the two in terms of their performances in that period, what they've achieved in that period, are very, very close indeed. And this time around, it's voted for by journalists, not the public. I haven't seen what the voting system looks like, but I bet it's close. They've gone with Rodri. I started seeing some really weird posts last night saying, I can't believe it. It's disgusting. Vinicius Jr. has taken family to Paris. He had a nightclub booked out ready, had a party ready afterwards to celebrate. And I'm sitting there thinking, they're making it sound like he's a working class man with limited money who has spent all of his hard-earned cash getting his family to an award ceremony he thinks he's going to win. And I'm sitting there, he's a multi-millionaire, and most of that was probably paid for by PR companies and sponsors anyway, right? Or by the football club. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, the throwing the toys out the pram over this is crazy. Absolutely. If, for instance, Vinicius didn't win it, and I don't know, Saka did, Cole Palmer did, I understand the outrage. I don't think neither did enough to be in the top 10 last year, let alone win the damn. Then I could argue it. But he narrowly missed out to another phenomenal player. The outrage is crazy to me personally. I'm not quite, unless I'm missing something. And if I'm missing, because I tweeted congratulations to Rodri last night. And again, the level of abuse I was getting from people, not just Madridsters.
No, I don't get it, man.
Just general football fans saying like, you're some guy, I don't want to swear as bad as he did, but it was like, you're an effing this, you're a seeing that. I can't believe you can't see what's going on here, you scumbag. I'm like, oh, I see what's going on. It was a very close vote, and Rodri pipped him. And to act like this player didn't lose a game, well, up until the FA Cup final, didn't lose a game. Instrumental in City being as good as they are, doing a 4-peat, which has never been done in English football. I understand that Vinicius Jr., won a Champions League and a league double. I get that. Amazing. That's why he was second, right? Amazing. Rodri was the main player. And I don't care, by the way, that Rodri didn't win the national awards here. That's irrelevant because this is individual journalists giving their opinion. Those same journalists that vote on the Ballon d'Or didn't vote for the PFA Player of the Year. So it's irrelevant to go, well, he didn't win that over Foden. It's irrelevant because clearly if those journalists were picking the Premier League Player of the Year, they'd have fucking picked Rodri. Otherwise, they'd have voted Foden the World Player of the Year. It's just the petulant behavior from Real Madrid. I understand it. They're a team that rarely loses. They nearly always get everything they want, and they just couldn't hack it. Yesterday, I think was a shame. Would bring shame on their great and illustrious football club. To walk away from the event in that way, to not show the respect to Rodri, a fellow professional. I thought it was a dark day for Real Madrid, a horrible day, and a petulant way for them to behave personally. I thought it was a horrendous behavior. And again, I want to say it. Congratulations to Rodri. Thoroughly deserved. Absolutely deserved. One of the greatest DMs we've ever seen in English football, European football. And in fact, I've actually said it for years. I'm sick and tired of players like him getting ignored. I'm not saying he's as good, but I was such a big defender of Michael Carrick over the years. I thought he was such a phenomenal player, and he wouldn't even get mentioned in teams of the year because he just played like a boring role. It's quite nice to see a player that plays that. He does get a lot more goals, to be fair, Rodri. It's great to see a player in that role get the adulation and get the sort of praise that position deserves. So fair play to him, and congratulations to Rodri and Man City with that victory.
Yeah, buzzing. But we need someone else because he's not here for a year. So we just gassed him up, but he's not going to be playing football for us for a year. So go get me Zubimendi, man. Go get me the other Spanish guy. He's unreal.
This here says, I hate City, but those who think Vini was robbed are idiots. Rodri deserved it. Last year, Haaland deserved it. I want City to get relegated. Come on, you'll never walk alone.
I don't know what to say about that.
That's right. Well done. And then, but I still want you to go down.
Yeah, by the way, I want to say as well to all the City fans that never praise City. I mean, you ignore the fact to say one of the greatest English teams of all time, best team in the world, European greats. I always defend your players. Just defended another one. Just put that in the bank when people go, you always say nasty things about City. It's not true. That's just what liars say. What if Amorim starts buying sporting players? Oh, give me Gyökeres. That'd be nice.
That's not going to happen, man. If United will learn from what they did with Ten Hag, and they won't go. If it was me, I'd put a blanket ban on Man United buying anyone from Sporting Lisbon. I would, because I said this about Ten Hag. For me, when a manager goes back to his former club buying players, unless it was Real Madrid or Barcelona or something like that, it's a red flag. It tells me that they're not comfortable in the dressing room. It tells me that they want players that they speak to in the dressing room as a player.
What about Victor
Gyökeres?
Gyökeres? What about Victor? Say Haaland and Xerxes don't improve.
You've just bought Ireland and Xerxes for a combined fee of 120 million.
No, I agree, but you've also said our squad's not very good. So let's say by the end of the season, you're right, LB, and they're crap, and we can get Gyökeres for 50 million. Would you ban it?
No,
yeah, because he wants Gyökeres.
yeah. Actually, but why don't Pottsy? Yeah, I would ban it.
No. But it's interesting because, again, if we'd have bought Uri and Timber, that would have been... If you're going to sign the players from those clubs... I mean, in fairness, Lisandro Martinez has been pretty good for us up until recently, but the whole team's been crap. There have been some decent signings. Naswari's look good. The Litters look good. It's mainly Anthony that look like crap, to be honest with you. Like, it's mainly been Anthony, but yeah, hopefully we won't make that. But that's more a case of that should have been a £25 million signing that we paid 90 million for. If we paid 25 million for him, the focus wouldn't even have been as bad as it was. But I do get your point. Arsenal, interesting result of the weekend, Pottsy. What's your thoughts on it now, reflecting back?
I mean, when I looked at the game, or when I suppose the team news for me was what deflated me, because I felt like there was just way too many players out. As one of the guys who said for a long time, and one of those fans that says we didn't quite do enough in the summer, but if I'm honest, it was more in the 10 and the striker 9 position, not at the back. We're actually quite stacked at the back. The problem is we've got a multiple of injuries in most of the positions in our back line, and we obviously had the Saliba suspension on top of that, which didn't help. But when you look at it, we only really had Ødegaard and Saliba out from a fully fit side. The problem was Timber and Saka clearly weren't 100% fit. They could do with a half, but you could see Timber looked knackered and Saka had to come off as well. So there were definite injuries there. I suppose I'd probably be more disappointed if I'm a Liverpool fan, because I felt like that we were there for the taking. I didn't think Liverpool were actually that amazing, if I'm honest. I mean, they weren't bad by any means. I think it's probably a fair result, if I'm honest. I think Arsenal could have won it. I think Liverpool could have won it. But I look at it now and I feel like...
Sorry to interrupt. Did you say you didn't think Liverpool were that bad?
I didn't think Liverpool were that great. I didn't think they were that great, if I'm honest.
Oh, all right, okay. You thought that. So basically you're saying they were rubbish.
Not rubbish by any means, but I didn't think they were amazing. Look at that, trying to put words in my mouth. I thought they were...
the pot, man.
You are, man, you are. Look, I felt like... I'll say this about Mikel Arteta, get it out quick, because everyone in here thinks I hate him. I think we should have gone for the juggler a bit more. At 1-0, I thought we were the better side. At 2-1, I thought we were the better side. And I was waiting to go 2-0 or 3-1. Now, I know there was only 9 minutes between the first goal, so you can say fair play. We didn't defend it very well. If I'm honest, I thought we defended it poorly from the corner, if I'm honest. But after that, I thought we were by far the best team. I thought we were electric. As LB rightly said, I thought Saka was by far one of the best players on the pitch. I thought he absolutely cooked Robertson, destroyed him. Some are saying completely done his career and retired him. Might be a bit harsh, but he was absolutely phenomenal, Saka. I thought Thomas Partey was outstanding. I thought Timber was brilliant, locked up Salah. No surprise that when he come off, we conceded down that side. He was brilliant. But I can't help but feel that Mikel Arteta could have made subs a little bit earlier and gone for the juggler a little bit more. And I do think that this season he's definitely gone back to his defensive-minded negative ways. At 1-0, it's very much, right, let's shut up shop. At 2-1, shut up shop. Like, why can't you go for the third? Why can't you go for the second? Like, that's what frustrates me a little bit, because Liverpool were there for the taking. It weren't like Liverpool were peppering our goal and then we were peppering their goal. We were clearly on top in that first half. So that did frustrate me. The decisions that were in the game, don't really understand why Diaz didn't get booked for kicking the ball away. I thought you get booked for that nowadays, but apparently you don't sometimes. I thought...
How many have you got noted down, Pottsy? How many have you got in your notebook? Referee decisions.
Oh, what the kicking the ball away ones, or just in general?
No, just in general, just all the decisions.
It's free to talk about, I think, in this game. That one's one. The Diaz one. I don't quite know how he doesn't get a yellow card for that one. I think Konate gets the ball, but I think he goes through Martinelli to get the ball in the penalty box. So that one's more 50-50. And I don't really see what Kivior's done, if I'm honest, wrong with the header. Szoboszlai's not complaining. He's done a Harry Kane and lent into him. None of the Liverpool fans are complaining. Anthony Taylor then blows his whistle 6 seconds after. And we put the ball in the back of the net, which a lot of people say the whistle's already gone, so it's out of play. A lot of people stop, so that's fine. But I'm looking at the Kivior one, wondering what he's done wrong there. Because if that's a foul, that is soft as shit. But the game has gone to soft as shit, I suppose. That's the way it is. The Van Dijk and Havertz one, I like Havertz, 6'4". Sometimes you got to get up. Van Dijk has kicked out at him though, so I'm a bit surprised that nothing was said there. But when we're looking at referees as a fan base, it does annoy me a bit, really, because it means we ain't done our job. And I thought they were there for the taking, Liverpool. I thought we could have got 3 points, to be fair. But look, we had a lot of injuries. I need players back now. I need to see Odegaard back because we do miss him. Look, Trossard's done great there, but we missed the creativity. We missed the energy. We missed the leadership skills. I think his pressing as well and his vision and his weight of pass is definitely something that we need. And Saka just clearly has to be on the pitch. Otherwise, we don't win football games. Or we do, but we play terribly and there's no creativity. So, look, I think that there's definitely positives and negatives to take out of the game. And I think likewise for Liverpool as well. I think, Liverpool will be up there for sure. But I haven't looked at Liverpool, City or Arsenal yet and gone, wow, there's levels between these three. And unfortunately, it's Arsenal that's looking up at the moment and by quite some points distance now as well. 4 points behind Liverpool, 5 behind City is not good 9 games in. So let's see what happens, man.
Matt, I give my opinion is that I think both teams should be very disappointed they didn't win the game. I think it's a bad point for both teams, if I'm being honest with you. And both sets of fans should be gutted that they didn't win. Start off with Arsenal, they were the home team. They should be gutted that they didn't win because in that first half, I thought they absolutely battered Liverpool. Absolutely battered Liverpool. And I said in my watch along at half time, I said, that is a crazy performance from Arsenal. Saka, that's probably one of the best I've ever seen Saka play. But the bad news is for you guys that you're only winning by 1 goal. And the Arsenal fans in my chat was agreeing with me. Said, yeah, LB, we've smacked them up and we're only one goal ahead. And we all know we've all been in these title races against teams like that. A goal against a team like Liverpool, it's worth nothing, really. You know what I mean? They can score off anything, as they did. For Liverpool, from their point of view, I think in the game itself, they were probably lucky to get a point. So they should maybe be happy with the point based off of how they played. But in the overall context of all the players that Arsenal were missing, they should be very disappointed that they only got a point as well. Because there was Saka basically was only there for 45 minutes. Gabriel got subbed off. Odegaard wasn't there. And Gabriel, I don't know if I said him. And obviously they played Thomas Partey at right back.
Well, mate, we had a back line at the end with Lewis Skelly, Kivior, Ben White, and Partey, and we had Salah. Nunez.
Exactly, that's the point I'm making. So I think for Liverpool, they should be mad gutted that they didn't win because of all the players they had out. But in the actual game, they were probably lucky to get a point. From Arsenal's point of view, it was probably the opposite. You probably would have took a point given the fact all the players that were injured, but you should have beaten them. So I don't think it was a particularly great point either. I think what it does do now, it puts huge pressure on these next 2 games for both teams. Arsenal play Newcastle away, Chelsea away. Yeah, I think you've got to win them both. And Liverpool play Brighton at home and then play Villa at home. I think they probably have to. They don't have to. They maybe got 4 points. But I think it puts huge pressure on. If City can just do our job and beat Bournemouth and Brighton, both away games, and we've got Champions League in there, so who knows what could happen. But if we can do our job and win those games, which we should do on paper, that for Arsenal, I think they need 6 points out of 6 off of Newcastle and Chelsea. If they don't, I think City would end up being like maybe 10 points clear or whatever. So let's see what happens. If they win the next 2 games, I think Arsenal will probably be looking all right, but they are under pressure now. They have to win.
I think with Arsenal, if they do win their next 2 games, and it isn't if, by the way, I think they're going to cook Newcastle. Newcastle look really poor. They really look poor. I know you're away from home. I just think there's problems up there. And I know Newcastle fans don't like hearing it. I know they want to play it down. But I feel as though, I mean, I know that they had some chances against Chelsea, but a lot of that stems from just individual players that make mistakes at Chelsea still as they're learning. I think you'll cook them. I think, as you say, Saka will be fitter. Saliba's back. The injuries don't look too concerning for the likes of Gabriel. You've said that Odegaard's back. Sorry, Timber as well. Odegaard's back in training. I just feel you're going to start getting people back at the right time. But although I think you will cook Newcastle, you have to win your next 2 games. But there's also a flip side to that, which is why I don't believe in this notion that the race is over. I know there's 5 points, and you don't want to be 5 points behind City. But you'll have played Newcastle and then Chelsea. Opening 11 games, I know that we're getting then towards, we're only 7 games away from being halfway through the season and you play everybody again. But you've played a lot of those sides away from home. You've played a lot of them in close succession, which then means you get a run of more favourable games. And I know that you don't always win them either, right? I'm not saying that those are foregone conclusions and they're easy to win. But Nobbins, again, I didn't think about this. I didn't look at your fixtures, but Nobbins was on our show last night. Big up Nobbins. And he kind of looks at some of your runs late. He says at the back end of the season, you have sort of, I think he said somewhere like 10 to 12 very winnable games on the bounce as an example. So it's, for me, the only thing I've disagreed with in terms of some of the conversations over this last week, since the weekend is Arsenal's title race is over. I don't necessarily think that's true. I still don't think City have looked particularly convincing, and they've got through some of these games, hook or by crook. They've got some tougher games on the horizon where they could drop points. And I still think as well, City gone away. City haven't gone away to Arsenal yet. They haven't gone away to Liverpool. They haven't gone away to Villa. They haven't gone away. Let's see what happens with Man United. They haven't gone away to Spurs yet. And I'm not writing City off. They're still my favourites. But there's probably going to be drop points in those games, especially with Rodri out. And all those games, pretty much most of those games are going to get played before they get the chance to bring a Rodri replacement in. I would say give or take some of those games, at least home or away against those teams anyway. So, look, I think that it's just the next 2 games are really important for Arsenal, though. But with the players they've got coming back, I think they have to win them, because you don't want to start, as you say, if they end up in a situation where they're 6 points. If you lost them both and City win
more than 6, I think it's like,
I think if you're any more than 6 points behind them by the end of these next 2 games, then I think it's going to be so hard, not just to catch City and overtake them, but you might also have Liverpool that are 10 points. It means 2 teams you've got to have 11 and 12 points swing.
City lost 3 games the whole year last year. We'd need them to lose another 3 games to win the league, basically, and that I just don't see that potentially happening. I think as well, you'll make a good point though, Tel, about our fixtures. That I'm not really one to complain about fixtures, because you have to play everyone twice and everyone has to play the same teams, right? But the actual schedule for us, I suppose, is the issue, because we had Liverpool, which was an intense high game with injuries. We've now got 4 away games in a row. So we've got Preston away, which we should win. We've got Newcastle away, Inter Milan away, Chelsea away. That's our next 4 games. It's absolutely mad. And that was off the back of only a few weeks ago having Villa away, City away, Spurs away, Atlanta away. It's just like, how has this happened again, like so soon? You know what I'm saying?
It is, but do you know what? It's interesting. When my team and my club was the side that could win the league, I remember this is obviously years ago now. We had a few starts of the season, and I used to look and I used to love it. I always wanted to be away from home, so all of our kind of rivals and the better teams
first,
not just first, but in the early part of the season. Yeah. My view was always, if we get a good amount of points return from that, I know we're winning the league, because we nearly always won those games at Old Trafford later on in the season. And if the second half of the season is easier, it gives you a bit of an advantage. The only way it can go wrong, though, is if you don't pick up enough points. And what's crazy, it's actually not been the tough games that have fucked you up this season. It's been the games where you've stupidly got players sent off. And one of them, I still think the Rice one was harsh. The other 2 are red cards. Where I do get your point on refs is how the fucking hell Mickey van der Ven wasn't sent off the other day is a madness. Like, and this is where I do get Arsenal's challenge, is they want fair treatment and the consistency. But yeah, look, I think you need to I think you'll beat Newcastle. Chelsea away is such an interesting one, because again, they are a very good team. You walk away from these 2 games though with 4 to 6 points. I still think you're within a shout of winning the league. You were never my favourites in the first place. You won't be your favourites at the end of it. But there's peaks and troughs. Sometimes you go a little bit behind and you drag it back. Sometimes you're a little bit ahead and then you fall behind. It's a marathon and not a sprint. And I just think that too many. By the way, I've said this on a few shows. I'll say it again in case anyone gets triggered. If you're someone that's never believed in Arteta, doesn't believe in the squad, didn't think he'd win it this year, I kind of get you saying, told you, get it. The Arsenal fans I'm most confused about are the ones that I think we can win it. The manager's the man. I love this squad. We did enough in the summer. They lose a game. It's over, innit? So I don't understand the logic in that. I just don't get it. It's like, stand behind your team. So,
yeah, I mean, I was one who didn't think we'd win the league anyway. I thought we'd come second again. I didn't think we did enough in the summer. and I still don't know that the manager can get us across the line. I think all those three things, they are, of course, my opinions, but I think they're pretty factual as well in terms of Arteta's not done it yet. We've clearly not done enough in the summer. And I think as well, some of the injuries have proven that in the summer, perhaps we needed to do a little bit more, right? One thing on the referees, I will say, whenever Arsenal lose a game or drop points, it's always the referee's fault. I don't quite understand that, because when we beat Wolves 2-0 in the first game of the season, Havertz got throttled on the floor and nobody said anything. Now, if it was 0-0 or we would have lost that game 1-0, trust me, they would have mentioned it. So I don't quite get that. Where I do sympathise is the inconsistencies. So for the people that are saying the referee's corrupt and they want to have a conspiracy against us, I don't agree with that. I don't quite know where they're at with that one, right? But what I will say is I do understand why people would then raise problems or concerns about the inconsistency of refereeing in general. And there are some Arsenal incidents, as well as other teams as well, that you can put that forward with. So, for example, when the ball goes out of play against Ollie Watkins and it's a goal, the same thing happens last year at St James's Park. Oh, no, it didn't go out. That's one. Then you look at Gabriel being pushed on. Then you look at, and it's like, no, it's a goal. There's clearly no foul. Kivior then apparently was a clear foul at the weekend, but clearly there's absolutely no difference in that one. Then you look at kicking the ball away. There's been multiple opportunities of people kicking balls away, but Arsenal are the players that are getting yellow cards and the second yellow cards and reds, and we're the players that are stupid. But those players aren't stupid. They're just lucky to get away with it. So I can understand where the inconsistencies and the drama is, if that makes sense, Tel.
No, I do as well. And I think you're right. I think the idea of just blaming referees if you don't win the league is wrong. But I think we have to, and I think we have to live in a world now as fans that talk football, and it's become an industry. It's become a job from all of us, all three of us. It's our job, where we have to start doing what I asked my dad for what he would call it, and my dad called it a coexisting truth. The referees can be bad and can cost you points, but at the same time, you can criticize players for missing chances or bad defending. These two things can coexist at the same time. And the reason I say that is this. Have we seen other players do what Declan Rice has done, not get a second yellow card or a yellow card at all? Yes. Would that game have been different, therefore, if Declan Rice wasn't sent off at the beginning of the second half? It's a very strong case to say yes. We have literally seen Tosin and Van der Ven do the exact same thing as Saliba, one the day later, one a week later, and not receive red cards. I know you didn't start well against Bournemouth, but is it a logical and conceivable point to make that if you had 11 v 11, you may have gone on to at the very least draw that game, if not win it? The answer is yes.
And it's when they say to, it's completely different, and it's not, is it? Like, it's the last man. It should either be they're all off or they're all yellow cards. Not one of them is, one of them's nothing, one of them's a yellow, one of them's a red. Like, how can you get that?
I do think what Arsenal fans have to do, and I think this is the same in all these scenarios, is you've got to try and control the narrative better. The idea of saying, we're the only club this happens to, it's a targeted approach at us, I think it wins you no favors with rivals or the media. And you need to get more. I think we all need to get this being discussed more. Because look, Palace got robbed at the weekend. I know they won, but Van der Ven should have been sent off. They could have scored more goals. Goal difference might matter this season. Equally, who do Spurs play next in the league? I don't actually know personally. They play City Villa. Villa have more chance of winning if Mickey Van der Ven isn't in the team, and he shouldn't be in the team because he should have got a red card. So I'm not saying Villa have been robbed of the result, but they've been robbed of consistency. They've been robbed of a better opportunity of winning based on a Spurs player making a mistake that he should have been punished for. Man United can see that penalty. You can argue that penalty going in led to a loss, which led to Ten Hag going, right? You could say we've been given a touch, right? But that penalty being given, and this is my issue, some people think I only defend Arsenal when it comes to the referees. Go back through my content, go back through videos. Last year when Odegaard was playing basketball against Liverpool, I said the same thing. When Liverpool had a clear goal that wasn't offside ruled out against Spurs, I went mad about it because I just feel that these things need to be discussed. At the same time, though, it doesn't mean that Man United, I didn't criticize Dalot for missing an open fucking goal. Doesn't mean I didn't criticize the manager for his poor substitutions again. I just feel these things can coexist at the same time. The only message I'd have to Arsenal fans is I genuinely do not believe there is a conspiracy to target Arsenal and to try and stop Arsenal. I think what's going on is it's just bad referees and you haven't had your fair share. Yeah, but what I will say about energy is, say this weekend against Newcastle, they get a bad decision go against them. I would expect to see every single Arsenal fan coming out and condemning the referees still. Because that, for me, is the only way we're ever really going to get them to take note, is when we condemn decisions that benefit our clubs. We're very quick to jump on it when it goes against us. we're not even silent. We defend it almost when it goes for us, if that makes sense. So that's my only message, and I'm consistent with it. You know, I remember first game of last season, United fans giving me so much abuse because I was saying, well, we won 1-0, but Wolves should have had a penalty at the end, shouldn't they? Well, why are you bringing attention to it for, Terry? Because it doesn't change the result, doesn't change the game, but we have to call out bad refereeing. It just has to happen.
But so it's normally the rivals. It's normally the top 6 rivals that are doing that. So, if, like, for example, the Saliba one, on my channel, I cover all clubs, right? So most of the clubs are like, cool, that's a little bit strange, wasn't it? All the top 6, you got the City fans, United fans, the Tottenham fans. Oh, it's a blatant red card. Then the others are like, question it. So it is because obviously you want to see. I want to see City lose games. I want to see Liverpool drop points, right? So Arsenal fans will go, of course it was a red, of course it was a foul, of course it was. A Bournemouth fan or a Fulham fan or a Newcastle fan might go, well, they might look at it a bit differently. So I think that is what it is. And I think that's why we're all so against each other's clubs, because we want to try and compete against each other. I think sometimes we're blinded by what is a foul and what isn't a foul, or what is a red and what isn't a red.
I understand that.
But this is also why VAR will never work.
Facts.
I called this at the time. I said, as soon as it came in, I said, this will never, ever work, VAR. Because ultimately, football is a subjective based sport. We could show now, a clip to the viewers. And we could say, viewers, is this not a foul? Is it a foul and no card? Is it a foul and a yellow card? Or is it a foul and a straight red card? And we get completely different answers from everybody.
Yeah.
So this is the problem with VAR, because they said they were going to overturn decisions, like clear and obvious decisions, but they don't overturn clear and obvious. They are doing what they said they weren't going to do, and they referee football matches, which is what they said they weren't going to do. That's exactly what they've done.
Do you know what's interesting though? I think most fans know the right answer, but they're shrouded in bias and don't want to admit it. I think every single football fan in the world knows that Man United should not have conceded a penalty at the weekend. I think every single football fan on planet Earth knows what Kiwior did wasn't a foul. I think everybody knows that what Declan Rice did shouldn't have resulted in another yellow card, as an example. So I think that bias makes us have such subjective opinions. We look at the angle of I've got to defend it. And that comes from years of not having VAR, in my opinion, should have fixed this, because the referees, subjectivity, of course, exists. But once you've made a decision like sending Saliba off, you had the case in point, and then every other decision that is very close to it or the same, they all follow suit. Over time, you get less subjectivity and more objectivity, because we know what a red card is. Example being accidental handball in the build up to a goal, they always disallow it. Now it doesn't matter whether it's accidental or not. We all just go, I touch his arm, we know it's going to be disallowed, because they've taken something and they've made it objective. And we need to get to that point with more decisions. I think the rules are written in such a vague way that none of this helps. However, I do believe it's fouled, and they should either look to just go to offsides, ball over the line, deliberate handballs maybe. A handful of things should stay. Outside of that, you may as well go back to the on-field decision, because it's no better or worse. A super chat here says, was the photo VAR playing? No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
it
It wasn't.
no.
It wasn't.
That was another conspiracy put out there.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious, though. I got shown that outside the stadium, and I'm like, look at this, and it is like exact replica of how you play FPL on that app.
Yeah,
it's a VAR app or a refereeing app or something.
Yeah, it looks the same.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, thank God it weren't their porn app. Can you imagine?
That, man? That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. The rule doesn't stop at last man. All these incidents are different. Similarly, yes, Arsenal fans just put the most on refs. What I'd say, Subs, is this, right? They all deny clear goal scoring opportunities, because one semi-decent touch and they're in on goal and they're going to shoot. Therefore, it's a goal scoring opportunity. It's a clear goal scoring opportunity. And I've heard one week they go, it doesn't matter who the covering defenders are, their speed, nothing. And then I hear them defend it and say, well, it does really matter. It's the way they explain it. They hypocrisize themselves. Terry, if United will beat Chelsea, surely Arsenal will beat them. Well, one's home, one's away, Maradon. So you've messed up there some. Does Anthony win next year at left wing back? I don't want to see him at the club. He's going in January, I hope. I hope he's going to go in January. So there we go. There we go.
You're the worst Man United signing, do you think?
Pound for pound. Pound for pound, yes. I would say that, look, Bebe and Obertan were worse players than him, but they would cost a fraction. So those guys barely scored, if ever. He scored he scored opening goal against Arsenal. He scored the winner in a game against Barcelona. He scored lots of goals in our cup runs that led to victories. But because of how much he cost, he's the worst player. He just is because of the cost, I think. I mean, you could argue he's done more for us than Sancho did, but he was £20 million more expensive. He's not as bad a footballer as Bebe or Obertan or these guys, but they were
Bellion,
fraction.
remember him?
David Bellion, yeah, he's better than those guys, but at 90 million, he just is the worst signing. There's no doubt about it. KJ, what did you put up there? That was KJ, it weren't me. What did you put up there? Mount's in there as well, because that man's on 300 odd grand a week. The PGMOL tried to cover themselves after the Rice incident in the Chelsea game. They got over 10 yellow cards, and now they just went away from the cards. Of course they did, and that stuff needs to be called out. But boys, look, I want to thank you both for coming on. Always a pleasure to speak to you both about football. We're back tomorrow with more content for you. I think this video is going to redirect somewhere. I need to go and check because I don't do any of that. KJ deals with it all. Yes, it is. It's redirecting to Footy Judge Mo's channel, who we are on with tomorrow on Straight Facts. So make sure you're all tuning in 3:30 tomorrow. Myself and Judge Mo and Hussam will be here. Make sure you go and check out LB and Dan Pottsy's channel. You got 12th Man. I'm bringing my show, The 12th Man, back, by the way.
Big up, man. Good name.
He's a good name. And a man like LB, it's LB. Go and check out both their channels. Go and subscribe to both their channels now. Brilliant content from these two gentlemen. Until next time, everybody, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And welcome to Manchester, Ruben. Welcome.